We are coming to you live from $1 Million Studios. Your boys, Chris Speez,
a.k.a. Vanilla Ice,
and the benchmark of professional wrestling, Mr. Silky Baines,
a.k.a. Coffee Black.
Speez and the Benchmark show on a Thursday night, October the 18th, 2018. We thank you so much for being with us, all of you joining us on Periscope and over on the YouTubes, or those of you listening to us after the fact on the podcast. iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, anywhere you can hear your favorite podcast, you can catch the Speez and the Benchmark show. Repping the Astros gear. As the boys got their backs against the wall tonight.
Yeah.
Down 3-1 to the Sox.
I'm repping the Benchmark gear because, you know, these bills need to get paid.
Of course they do. And speaking of that, if you want to chip in and help out with the cause here, you can do so at the tip jar, tinyurl.com/SB tip jar. We always appreciate that. And of course, keep those super hearts coming on Periscope. Silky, we are getting ever closer, as I say every week, because we really are getting closer.
We really are.
Up over 130,000 super hearts, I believe.
Yes.
So that's good stuff, man. We're very excited about that. Thanks to all of you, because you guys are the ones making it happen. You want to send a shout out to the folks who are joining us here over on the Periscopes.
All right. So
hello to David over on YouTube there. Good to have you, sir.
Tripping. There we go. We got Babaruski, Revisionist Booking.
Oh, Revisionist Booking, who likes us. We got a bunch of people we can't see.
And four other motherfuckers we can't see.
I wish Periscope would fix that to where you could actually see everybody.
Yeah.
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
That would be nice. But NoFX fan just joined. So
hello to you, sir. Good to have you. There's a guy that jumps on every now and then called something to do with Red Sox fan, like angry Sox fan or something like that. So yeah, hopefully I'm not going to be hearing from that guy tonight.
So we give him shit.
Well, I don't give him shit because they're up 3-1 right now, which is unfortunate. But
yeah, I mean, I don't really watch baseball, so
yeah.
I'm not that really invested in it.
But you're a hometown guy.
I mean,
well, no, actually, you're not because you root for the Patriots and all that kind of shit. But anyway,
I mean,
that's neither here nor there. You guys didn't come to listen to us talk about that. You came to talk some wrestling, and we're going to do so with our buddy Sean O'Brien from the Squared Circle Sound Off podcast, which we are fans of. We talk about what a pain in the ass it is to book guests.
I know.
This guy makes the shit look easy.
I know.
I mean, he's had Donovan Dijak on the show. He's had, who else did we say? Vita Scott's been on the show.
Vita Scott.
I always say Vita Scott.
Yeah, I mean, it's VEDA.
Yeah, so you would think that it's Vida.
No, Vita is VITA.
No, I didn't say Vita. I said Vita. Jesus Christ.
God damn, dude.
Anyway.
You're the host of this fucking show.
Homicide, PCO. He's had a bunch of guys on the show. So we're going to talk with Sean here shortly. And
he's going to slide us some numbers afterwards.
He was sitting front row at SmackDown 1000 this past Tuesday. So
he must have been real disappointed.
Well, we'll find out because, you know, anytime you can sit front row for a WWE show where The Undertaker shows up and Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio coming back. So lots to talk about from SmackDown Live. But before we begin today, of course, you can get in on the phone lines, everybody. 832-937-4559 is the phone number.
Or 832-93-SILKY.
You can hear that he's in higher spirits today. He's not feeling the effects of that 3 stages of hell match so much anymore.
And I got over it just in time to do a casket match this Saturday. So,
yeah, we just saw a picture of the casket.
Yeah, it was very disheartening to get that. When the promoter sent me the picture, I was like, okay, this is a little disheartening. I may have made a mistake here.
I got to reevaluate my life choices.
I need to start making better life choices.
No doubt. So, before we begin tonight, Silky, we got to get to Low Key. Have you heard this Low Key story?
Just when you told me a little bit before the air.
So,
sounds
for those
crazy
of you
as shit.
that didn't catch our show on Monday, you can watch the replay on Periscope. We got slapped on the wrist by YouTube because you'll recall that on Monday we showed the finish to the Austin Aries, Johnny Impact Morrison,
205,
Nitro 205
Mundo,
guy, and
gimmick. Whatever.
And the folks over at Anthem apparently didn't like that we put that in the actual show. So, you know, slap on the wrist, they blocked that video. But you can still catch it on Periscope, so check it out on Periscope. We had a great discussion with Silky about what it's like when wrestlers just basically shit all over the match like Austin Aries did. But we were talking about, is this a work? Is this a shoot? Did they plan on this or not? We had another scenario that was very similar in an MLW heavyweight championship match that took place this past weekend between Low Key and pronounce this guy's name for me because I don't know.
Daga
from Lucha Underground. Now, I'm not a Lucha Underground guy, so I couldn't tell you who the fuck this guy is. But anyway, all I'm reading online is that this guy got his ear torn off by Low Ki. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, this cannot possibly be true. Now, of course, we can't show you the video because we got slapped on the wrist last time. But all you need to know is
he pulled the motherfucker's ear off.
Low Ki goes to tie up with this bastard, and during the tie-up, Low Ki rakes his hand along the side of this dude's head, and this guy hits the floor like he got fucking shot. I mean, it does not look good at all. And there's blood pouring out of his hands. I mean, there's blood all over the side of his ear, and the word was that he had to have surgery after the fact because part of his ear was detached. Now, I want to read something to you. I'm going to go to the phone here and read this to you. We give shit sometimes to... or I do sometimes to certain wrestling sites for not being the most professional in terms of reporting things. All right, I want to read to you what was actually written on this particular site. I'm not going to call them out because I'm not trying to smear anybody, but I found this to be a little bit amusing. So Daga had his Mick Foley moment when Low Ki ripped off his ear, although at this point it is not known if it is a work or not. Okay. You can't work getting your fucking ear ripped off, okay? You got to think about how you word these things. The guy got part of his ear ripped off, but we're not sure if it was a work or not. No, it's the real thing. The guy got his ear, unless you're going to put some kind of prosthetic ear on and have it ripped off and use fake blood and all that shit, at which point you're fucking lame and your show ought to get canceled because that's just ridiculous. But anyway... we're not sure if it was a work or not. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that motherfucker didn't expect to have his ear torn off.
Yeah. That's not something you expect to do when you get in the ring.
Have you heard this about Low Ki before? Because...
No, I mean, only thing I've really heard about Low Ki, and I haven't had any experience personally, is that kind of like Austin Aries, bit of a dick. But, but not in the Aries way. Like, Aries is just, seems to be, the consensus is he's just overconfident or, cocky. He believes in the hype of himself.
Right. He's a mark for himself, as is like to be said.
Low Ki, from stories I've heard, is not like that, but, he's very into wrestling, so he will refuse to do jobs if need be, no matter who it is.
I've heard he doesn't turn the character off very often. And so that can rub people the wrong way sometimes. Yes. And you know what else is going to rub people the wrong way? Ripping motherfuckers' ears off.
Yeah, that would rub me the wrong way.
Because that's kind of fucked up. So anyway, if you guys get a chance, we'll retweet the video out on Twitter so we don't get in trouble. But, dude, getting your...
Ouch.
That's just not cool.
Yeah.
That's just not cool. I don't see how you accidentally rip somebody's ear off.
I mean, it could happen. I mean, I've been...
in a lockup. It just seems... I mean, this isn't like a Mick Foley thing where he's doing the whole crucifix and the ropes thing and he gets his ear caught and shit happens.
No.
I mean, this didn't look good.
No, it didn't. I'm sure it did not look good, but, I mean, I'm trying to spin this, and I'm really falling short on how to spin this shit. Of how, I mean, it could be an accident. I just don't see how any way that could happen. I mean, if it was weapons, like I wrestled a guy, Tokyo Monster, Kahagas, and he went to hit me with a kendo stick, and at the last second, I bitched out. I'm not going to lie. I bitched out. And so I turned my head, and I got the kendo stick right here in my fucking ear. And I was just deathly afraid that I was going to have cauliflower ear and all that after that. Because, one, that shit hurt.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Well, not hurt. It stung really bad.
I can imagine. Thank you, Mac Diesel. And get the tables with sporting the new logo. Get the tables for the Super Hearts there on Periscope. We appreciate that. You get the tables later tonight after our show. Boom. They'll be watching Impact for the time being.
Yeah, I started watching some of it.
Did they address the Austin Aries issue at all?
No, Johnny, whatever the fuck, kind of like was slipping stuff in his promo because he started off the show about wrestling and you never know what's happening, things like that. But he's like, any of you watching Bound for Glory, watch Bound for Glory, know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He subliminally mentioned it, but without saying it. And like the commentators kind of just acted like it was a run-of-the-mill hard-fought championship match that he won. Like They cut it after the 3, so you don't see Austin Aries walk out or anything like that.
Bob Aruski says they're not even mentioning him by name, which is kind of chicken shit as well. So
what? They're not mentioning Aries? Fuck that guy.
If
that's what he did, I mean, would you?
I guess. Yeah, it's a good point. Now that I think about it, maybe you wouldn't mention him. Before we get over to our buddy Sean O'Brien, got to send a quick shout out because I've been remiss in doing this the last couple of weeks to our boy Travis Wallach, of course, Prestige Properties. You guys know the drill by now.
Yes.
Get on the horn. Anybody you know down here in the Texas area, and let them know about Prestige Property. 713-882-4609 is the phone number. travw777@gmail.com. This is residential real estate. This is commercial real estate. Anything that you need, this guy's got the hookup. We're still blowing up here in Katy. Yeah. I drove to another part of Katy that I haven't been to in a while. There's shit everywhere now.
I know.
I mean, it's insane.
Really,
and it's not like cheap, lame shit.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, fuck, that's fucking cool. We're going to have that over by our place. It's awesome.
Oh, my boys at Daddy's Duncan's, I just bought land, build a brick and mortar.
Ooh,
and guess
Daddy
who
Duncan's
helped
barbecue.
Them out?
That's good stuff. The Benchmark did.
No. Fucking try. Come on, read the room, man. We're doing an ad.
Well, I thought
we're doing an ad for Travis.
Of course. Yeah, Travis helped him out, of course.
God
Our good buddy,
dude.
Travis Wallach.
Act like you've been somewhere.
You can't curse during the promo. Anyway, Travis Wallach, our good buddy, Prestige Property, proud sponsors, for now until they see this one, of the Speez and the Benchmark show. Man. So, we just had to get that out of the way. All right. You about ready to bring on our special guest? So
let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. He is the host of the Squared Circle Sound Off, which you can catch on iTunes and everywhere else that you listen to your favorite podcast, like you can listen to your boys Speez and the Benchmark here. You can follow him at Sean Neutron and at SCSO Pod on the Twitters. Our good buddy Sean O'Brien joins us on the program. Sean, how are you, sir?
Doing great, guys. Thank you for having me. Just a one correction. It's only on SoundCloud right now, so soundcloud.com/Sean-Neutron. Working on getting it on iTunes and in other platforms.
That's right. I remember now because you had it going on through somebody else's account there for a little while and out doing his own thing.
Boom.
Which is very cool. Okay, now the first thing I got to ask you is we're going to get to SmackDown 1000 and do a little review there for those of you who haven't got a chance to chat with us about that. We're going to talk about that tonight. But first of all, talk to us about these interviews, man. I mentioned some of the names earlier that you've had on the show. You've had a bunch of guys. You got Donovan Dijak, now Chris Dijak over in NXT. Veda Scott was on the program. Homicide, PCO, all kinds of great names, man. Tell us, is there anybody that sticks out that you really enjoyed talking to that, just kind of blew you away in terms of actually getting to sit and chat with them?
Well, I think PCO, first of all, blew me away because he just gave me all the time in the world. He had really long, extended answers. I'm thinking, okay, well, people, in this day and age, people have short attention spans. Will they be able to listen to it that much? But no, he went out for he'd have 5-10 minute answers at times. A very thorough, very nice guy. Like I said, gave me all the time in the world. And I've got to see him not only at Nova Pro, but also other events like Joey Janela's Lost in New York. I've also got to see him at Scenic Sea Invitational. So he's definitely a really good dude. Also, Matt Cross, got a chance to talk to him. MDog20. He has having a show at Nova Pro, but he's also done Lucha Underground and a bunch of other places, as we know, with all his experience. And he just gave me a really good chat as well, good conversation. You think some of these guys who are so experienced and have so much fame that they maybe have an attitude but no, these guys are really laid back, down to earth, and they're really easy to talk to.
Yeah, that's great to hear, man, because we always wonder sometimes because Silky and I, we've had the good fortune to sit down with a couple high-profile guys. Like Rikishi was just the nicest guy in the world. Yeah. Most of the guys, Sammy Guevara, that's come here and actually sat with us here in the room, is a super guy as well. And but you always hear horror stories sometimes about some guys just kind of big dogging you and being jerks. So it's good to hear that it's been a good experience for the most part. So talk to us about SmackDown 1000, and you guys can get in on the phone lines if you want to. 832-937-4559 is the number, or tell us what you thought on the chat. Let's talk a little SmackDown Live 1000, or SmackDown 1000, I should say. So first of all, I got to talk about who was not there. Were you disappointed to not see The Rock at SmackDown 1000?
Yeah, I thought they could have at least flown him in. I thought maybe Jericho might show up. And obviously John Cena wasn't there either. At least he had the video for it, But yeah, The Rock, I was really disappointed not to get to see him in person. And I guess Jericho's busy now with Ring of Honor and also, over there in Japan as well. But kind of a bummer. We expected Undertaker, and we got him for all of 3 minutes. So
yeah, that was a very odd segment there at the end with Undertaker.
Yeah, I mean, and what I hated, like, you just shit on the much hyped return of Rey Mysterio Jr. He wins the match and then immediately doesn't even give him time to celebrate. Undertaker's music hits, and you're like, well, way to shit on that.
Yeah, exactly. like we gotta go. Yeah, Ray seems to draw the short straw when it comes to that, because that shit happened to him in the main event at All In as well.
Yeah,
where they had to cut that short because Marty Scurll and Okada decided to go crazy long. Now the big story, I guess you could say, going into SmackDown 1000, besides Rey Mysterio, was the return of Evolution, and I loved.
That was an odd, like, awkward to watch.
Yeah, I loved
promo.
seeing those guys, but I got to ask you this, Sean. What was the reaction? Let's just talk about the reaction when those guys first came out. Was it as big as you expected? Did you feel like the crowd was definitely into it, or is it kind of one of those things where, okay, you know, we've seen Taker, we've seen Shawn Michaels, we've seen Triple H all coming back. This is just kind of no big deal. What was the vibe like there in the stadium when those guys came out?
When that entrance started, that really, you know, it was great to hear it, honestly, because I heard that music in the longest time. You know, getting to see the Titantrons up close like that really, you know, set the tone. So the people were definitely looking forward to Evolution, and when they came out, people were pretty hyped. And then they got in the ring, you know, they're doing their stuff. You see Randy Orton wearing a suit, which is rare for him. Usually he hates wearing pants, as is his reputation over the years. But all four of them, you know, they looked like they were comfortable with each other, but at the same time, it looked like they were, you know, they didn't have any. They're just completely improvising and hitting a few vague plot points. So, you know, like the Batista Triple H possibly setting out that WrestleMania match, and then Batista was talking about Ric Flair's dick,
which was
yeah, that was pretty funny.
So hot as well.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I mean,
yeah, they got a great reaction.
Oh yeah,
and you could tell Ric Flair had no idea it was coming. I mean, they all kind of lost it.
Is it me? And you saw I posted on Twitter. Is it me, or did Ric Flair look like the Crypt Keeper?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just looked like magically old.
Hey, the fact that Ric Flair is still hanging on at this point,
I mean,
considering all the drugs he must have done.
You know what
it
is? When we were at the Ring of Honor show, that fan theory. Every time a chop gets a woo, another year is added on to his life.
Yeah, so Ric Flair is going to live to be about 4,000 years old at this point. Shout out to Juanito joining us over there on the YouTubes. Glad to have you with us, sir. And, okay, so let's get to this Batista and Triple H bit, because
it was just awkward in my opinion. This is just my opinion, because, one, you've already got this crown jewel wherever the fuck they're going to run the show at with DX's return. It's like, why add that on? To me, you should just leave Triple H for that and maybe circle around back to that after Crown Jewel. Because, you know, it's just too much. Like, we're talking about this. This is time we could have been talking about your match that you're trying to sell us for Crown Jewel.
Yeah, this is one of the things WWE's got going on, is that they've got so many different shows that they're trying to push.
And you've seen it, like, this is not new. You saw it with, like, Kevin Owens, like, right before he left NXT. And, like, in that in-between when he made appearances on the main roster, but he was still NXT champ, and he was feuding with Sami Zayn, Samoa Joe, and then going up to the main roster feuding with John Cena, and these are all running concurrently.
Yeah, it's just too much going on.
Yeah, it just spreads you too thin, and so you don't invest in any of them, because
you just got too much happening. What was the overall vibe towards Batista? Do you get the feeling that, because we saw some of this with The Rock when he left to go do the Hollywood thing, there was a little bit of a backlash against him for, you know, somewhat turning his back on WWE, wasn't his number one priority anymore. Did you get that same kind of feeling being there about Batista, or do you feel like folks were genuinely excited to see him back again?
Well, first, to your point, about the Silky, about the shows being run concurrently and promoted multiple times, I think that is a huge issue right now for WWE. There's just too much going on at once. You know, you got Evolution going on, you had this SmackDown 1000, you got Mixed Max Challenge, then you had Super Showdown. Now you're gonna have Crown Jewel. So once again, I think that there's too many shows going on at once. I also think Crown Jewel should be renamed Backlash. I think that'd be a better brand of it.
That would probably work out well.
Probably work out better.
But to your question about Batista, I feel that people were really welcoming him there, and really good reaction for him. It was just good to see him back, and it's hard to believe it's been, 5 years, you know, since he had that match at WrestleMania versus Daniel Bryan and Triple H. So it was great to see him. He's looking a lot smaller, but overall, I mean, people just, you know, his hometown especially, There's nothing but positive vibes there for Batista. He mentioned Blue-tista, Bootista, so he was definitely aware of his place in the WWE universe.
Yeah, definitely. A shout out to Dr. Huge for joining us here in Periscope as well, and dropping some super hearts while you're here. We appreciate that, Dr. Huge. So let's get to this setup for, or we would assume, a setup for a Triple H Batista match. The only thing that bugged me about this is, and again, I don't know if somebody was in Hunter's ear or somebody's ear that was there in the ring telling him we got to get this thing moving, but for Batista to kind of close the promo, and for those of you that didn't see it, he basically said, as he was talking about Triple H, this is a guy that's done everything in the business except beat me. Yeah. And then the bit just ended.
Yeah,
it just left it hanging there.
No, I think you're doing it a disservice in your description, because what happens is they stare each other down awkwardly, like they want to fight, and then they hug, and then they go right back to staring at each other awkwardly as the music kicks on.
Yeah, it felt like they didn't really know what the hell.
Awkward to do. Like, it was just really awkward. And like, if you're gonna do that, they should be on the same page, because I mean, pretty much everyone, with the exception of Triple H, I don't think he really shit on anyone. But like Randy Orton, first thing he did when he talked, he started shitting on Batista.
You would expect from heel Randy Orton at this point.
Yeah. And then Batista shitting on Triple H.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is not the feel good Evolution thing that I was expecting as a huge Evolution fan. Like I posted, I was real disappointed they didn't do the pose with the falling pyro behind them, because I've always thought that was like the best entrance ever.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool
best use of pyro. You don't need all the bang bang and stuff. That wall of pyro and them standing in front of it would have been awesome. But why bring it back just to you're
teasing this match and then you just leave it there. Let me ask you this, Sean. Did you get the sense that people were wanting more? Were you wanting more at the end of that promo, or is this just us?
No, I think I was wanting more. A few people around me, that I could sense or wanted more. I think there's just so many segments on the show. We knew it was going to be a segment-heavy show, and really, not too much emphasis placed on matches. But I think they kind of felt rushed at times. I think Batista might have gone on a little bit too long, from what other people are saying as well. I did think it was weird how Randy Orton, like you guys just mentioned, went off on Evolution on his own little tangent, and then Batista's pretty much just like, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore that, and now we're gonna move on to this. It's like, you're not setting anything up, Randy. There was no reason for that. I thought they were gonna inch towards reenacting the whole thing from 2004 when he got put on his shoulders and sent backwards, but I was just left like scratching my head after that one.
Yeah, it was very odd. Dr. Huge says Drax versus the vampire from Blade 3 Mania. Just let him come out as their movie gimmicks. That'd be totally fine. Yeah, that was the thing that bugged me about it. I love seeing the guys. Batista looks great. I mean, the guy's kept himself in amazing shape because of all the stuff he's doing in Hollywood. Looks like he could step right back into the ring and go again.
My question is, why was Evolution there?
That was another big discussion, was the fact that they were mostly a Raw act back in the day, and
I don't think I remember much of them as a whole group on SmackDown.
Yeah, if anything else, it was just a way to bring another big name to come to SmackDown Live, which is.
But why don't you bring DX? I mean, hell, you're selling the return of, albeit Shawn Michaels and Triple H. Why didn't you bring Billy Gunn and Road Dogg and X-Pac?
Yeah, who knows, man?
That would have made sense, because they were.
What they wanted to do was they wanted to have the first ever time for them on SmackDown. I think that was the big deal about it.
Gotcha.
And I think, honestly, watching Raw lately with DX, the newest version of it, 3.0, whatever it is, it's really sad, honestly. I have no enthusiasm for their match at Crown Jewel. Regardless of the Saudi Arabia situation, I just don't really care about that match. How can you have Shawn Michaels come back and I don't really want to care about it? That's crazy.
Yeah, that is a little bit disappointing. And thanks to all of you who are joining us here on Periscope. We hope you'll share the program and retweet it and all that kind of good stuff to get some folks in here with us. And again, if you want to give us a call, 832-937-4559 is the number. What's up, NoFX fan?
832-93 Silky.
Y2J was the main player on SmackDown. I agree. I know he's got his big cruise coming up and all of that going on as well. So, it's one of those things. There were, no matter who showed up, there was going to be a group of people who were going to complain about the people who weren't there.
Yeah.
But I think when you start talking about the big names, Jericho and The Rock are the two that come to mind as guys that really, really thrived on SmackDown. It was kind of disappointing not to see them. But, you know, what are you going to do at the end of the day? Let's get to Rey Mysterio. How did everybody feel about Rey Mysterio's return? Silky, we'll start with you. How do you think he looked in the ring after not having been in WWE for a while? We know he's still been wrestling all this time.
A ring is a ring. So, I mean, he looked great as far as the match went. I mean, for what it was a good match. Like I was telling my brother, who was very excited about seeing this match, I was like, this match will be better in Ring of Honor, New Japan, anywhere outside the WWE confines, just because of rules and things you can and can't do, time cues you have to hit and stuff. So I knew that this wasn't going to be like a Dave Meltzer 6-7 star match.
No,
I mean,
you're rarely going to get those
SmackDown
on regular TV.
Yeah, so it was good for what it was. It was a good main event match. Like I say, only thing is they shit on I immediately stopped caring once The Undertaker came. And not to say that I care about The Undertaker more. I was just caught up in you couldn't give him this moment, first time back in 5 years, and I don't even get 5 seconds to celebrate a fucking victory.
Yeah, that's
how I would be if I was Rey Mysterio. What the fuck? Am I coming back for this?
Yeah. How was the crowd reaction there that night, Sean? Were people pretty amped about seeing Rey in the WWE ring again?
Oh, of course. And he looked to be in phenomenal shape. Nakamura really did his thing, as we've seen his character do recently. Always tries for the, shenanigans. But Rey looked great, and I think it's just funny now at this point that you've got 7 guys who are it's 8 guys. All 8 guys are from America, and 7 of them are white guys.
Yeah, and the World
Cup. This whole World Cup thing is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, affirmative action.
Yeah,
Mysterio.
That's right. You got to have
that
Rey
was
in
the
there.
affirmative action match
for sure. And thanks to those of you inviting your followers over there on Periscope. We see you. We appreciate that. Yeah, I thought Mysterio looked good. I love that head first slide under the bottom rope into the splash outside the ring. That was excellent. I mean, there's just so many things that guy can still do at his age.
Yeah.
And he still looks great. So hopefully they've got something great planned for him. WWE knew USA wouldn't expand time for them like with Raw. That's totally true. They definitely felt like they had to get out of there in a hurry, especially considering the Undertaker segment at the end of the show. Let's get to that, Sean. The Undertaker essentially comes out moving at light speed for the Undertaker, considering that he got into the ring in less than 8 minutes. So that was pretty impressive.
So that was a plus.
He pretty much gets out there and says, I got 3 words for Shawn Michaels and Triple H, rest in peace, and then he leaves.
Yeah. Just I got 3 words for you. Rest in peace.
Mic drop, and I'm out of here. Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right.
That's pretty much the equivalent.
What was the feeling out there? Did you guys feel kind of gypped that you didn't get more of the Undertaker when the time came for him to show up?
I mean, you never expect a huge promo from the Undertaker, so it's hard to feel gypped in that sense. The entrance itself, regardless of how quick it felt, everything, an Undertaker entrance is one of a kind. So it doesn't matter where what people think about WWE. At times, an Undertaker entrance is timeless, so that definitely, had the crowd going. And I knew with, less than 5 minutes to go at that point, there wasn't really much they could do. But it almost seemed like when I looked at his entrance, I looked back at the ring, like Rey Mysterio just evaporated. Like I didn't even see where the heck he went. So that was like Silky keeps saying, that was very unfortunate that he didn't get his proper due and maybe close the show with the win.
Yeah, that would have been nice. I think it would have been. It would have been a good honestly, moment for him.
That fucking promo could have been cut backstage in like a little vignette segment.
Yeah.
And where he's clearly there, but not in front of the fans, and you could have gave that time to Rey to celebrate and pop the crowd for the big win he just had.
Yeah, I know Dr. Hughes was feeling the that he does at the end of this. He dropped one of those on the promo the other night, that strange growling noise that he makes. So, well, one of the things that possibly, I think definitely could have been cut was the fucking McMahon segment at the beginning of the show. We had to get an entrance for all 3 McMahons on R-Truth's show.
What we need is a dance break on this show.
We do not need a dance break on this show. There you go. Sean's just going to drop the dance break right there, so that's fine. All right, enough of that.
We're going to stop because Chris looked like he was going into a seizure.
Silky, I don't know what the hell that was. It's supposed to be the black guy with the rhythm on the show, but hey. All right, so.
I hate you so much. Okay.
But when you think about the stuff that they had to cut, the fact that they basically had each McMahon show up to get a McMahon reaction, it just that just
you're
seemed...
just prejudiced against the McMahon. They built that fucking company.
Hey, I get excited
from the ground up.
And here's another thing. My issue is with Stephanie. I don't like Stephanie. Fuck that lady. There goes my chance ever working for WWE, but so be it. No, I'm not going to get excited about Stephanie coming out to the ring. Shane, we hadn't seen him in a while. You want to send Shane out there? Okay, fine. Here's the thing that I find very interesting. For as much as everybody online loves to shit on Vince McMahon and bitch about Vince and Vince this and Vince that, and all Vince cares about is money, and he fucks over all the NXT people and blah, 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 blah. When that guy walks out when that music hits, that crowd pops like crazy and they go completely apeshit. Am I right, Sean? Did you feel like the crowd was totally psyched for Vince McMahon once his music hit?
You are right. And just to your point about Stephanie McMahon, I'm on board with that anytime, I see you on Twitter, we're usually in agreement on her presence is a bit too much. Shane, not so bad. We hadn't seen him in a little bit, so it wasn't bad seeing him. But Vince came out, and it's even, I would say, even got a bigger reaction than Undertaker's, just because everyone hadn't seen Vince in a long time.
Because he's created that.
We didn't really know what to expect at that point, but at least the one thing I'll say about that segment is that they kept it short and sweet once they got out there, and then it kind of ended abruptly like a lot of their segments, but I'm surprised it didn't go on a lot longer. So, I mean, at least there's that.
Yeah, it's like you said, it was a very segment-heavy show. So,
I enjoyed it because it was funny. I mean, who doesn't laugh at, like, the McMahon's dancing with R-Truth and Carmella? I mean, so that was entertaining, at least for me. But, I mean, for you to be all pissy, I mean, this was
I'm not all pissy.
You were all pissy on... We could have literally done another Smart Tears.
Oh, stop.
The Speez edition.
Absolutely not.
Because, what the fuck? Get the McMahons off my TV.
Nope.
There's more McMahons on my TV. Are you fucking kidding me? All the McMahons? Where the fuck is Linda? Why don't we throw that bitch in there?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's you.
That's pretty much right.
We're going to have, Stephanie's kids are coming in. Shane's kids are coming in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's about all that we were missing.
Yeah, but
look, Stephanie McMahon doesn't have jack shit to do with SmackDown Live anymore, and I know she did back in the day.
Yes, I mean it's the 1,000th episode, so they're celebrating. Why do you think? Let me ask you a question, Chris.
Why do you think should have had more time on screen than Stephanie McMahon? Give me some Vicky Guerrero and some Teddy Long, holla holla holla.
Yeah, that was. But let me ask you a question. Why do you think throughout every break between matches they were showing classic shit that happened on SmackDown? Because it was a big fucking deal to make 1,000 episodes, and they're celebrating all of the past. Yeah. Stephanie McMahon was a big part of the past.
Stephanie McMahon's there all the time. Give me the people who aren't there.
That clip of her and John Cena when he spanked her.
There you go.
That was.
Give me. You get Stephanie anytime. Stephanie, walk her happy ass out there whenever she wants to. Give me some Teddy Long. Teddy Long's not there all the time.
That is a bone of contention I have with SmackDown this past week. I thought that we should have had a segment where he has to introduce a tag team match, do it for the tag team title match that they had, where the titles changed hands, but just have him come out there and utter hold on a minute, playa, and I'm going to make this a tag team match. Just have him come out there and do that. I'm surprised we didn't even get to see the segment that he had, obviously, until like later on when you watch at home on television, but it was very disappointing that they kind of clumped all of them together in that one short segment, but I would have loved, like you said, Vicky Guerrero, would have seen her, Teddy. So there was some missed opportunities.
Yeah, and it definitely just felt like they had to cram as many people in there as possible. I hate to use this term, but it was definitely an overbooked show in that regard, and that they just had too much stuff to try to cram in there.
Yeah,
and so you would like to see certain
swing for
things.
The fences. I mean, it's the 1,000th episode of SmackDown, which wasn't even a weekly show. Like, it started off as like almost like Saturday night's main event. So every so often there'd be a SmackDown special.
We scared England JT with our dance break a while ago.
I know. I mean,
I don't know why. That was pretty impressive.
No, it was not.
It was great. It was absolutely great. We had a phone caller on there, but the phone caller went away. You can give us a call back if you like. 832-937-4559.
Or 832-93-SILKY.
Now, how could you get on me for my dance moves when you do that ridiculous promo every time we mention the phone number?
Because it sticks in their head. You know, people.
It's one of those obnoxious things like those horrible jingles that they do for.
Exactly. It's like
Westside Chevrolet.
Yeah,
Here's a money-saving idea.
And
West
now that
IKEA, that kind of shit, like I hate that shit. But you remember it.
But you remember it. That's the whole point.
So you're willing to be obnoxious.
Everybody's going to be driving home just thinking 83293 Silky.
England's in therapy as we speak right now, and you're just making it worse with that kind of horse shit going on. So, Sean, let's talk about this Evolution show that we got coming up. Still not a whole lot going on in terms of match-wise what we know is actually going to happen. And we got the announcement this past week that a lot of these women are just going to be thrown into a battle royal. And that did not seem to sit well with many of the superstars who, I think there were about 4 of them between Naomi and Carmella and a couple others that just tweeted, the Iconics tweeting gifs of themselves just going like, what the fuck was that? I didn't know it was going to be in a battle royal. What's your thought on Evolution? It was a much ballyhooed event from Stephanie McMahon, as you would expect. Yeah. But it seems to be rather underwhelming up to this point. Would you agree?
I would agree. I also think that with that title, I mean, you just advertised Evolution coming back for SmackDown 1000. There has to be another way they could have, another thing they could have used to name it instead of Evolution. I just thought that part right there either confuses people or it's just very unoriginal. So while I don't have a suggestion alternative for what the show should be called, I'm not a fan of the name itself. But it is really underwhelming right now. They've only got a handful of matches announced and that battle royal. You've got so much female talent on this roster, whether it's at NXT or even on the main roster, obviously. And there's so much you could do, but you have to throw, Asuka and Ember Moon into a battle royal. I mean, that's just what is going on.
Yeah, especially with, like you said, the amount of talent that's out there. I mean, what are the singles matches that we have right now? We know we're going to get Becky and Charlotte again. We've made a tag match out of the Alexa. Trish and Lita versus Alexa and Mickie James match.
And then Ronda and Nikki.
And we're also going to have the Mae Young Classic Finals.
Yeah.
No spoilers, even though we already know who is going to be there, but we're going to have the Mae Young Classic Finals. And I believe we're going to get the NXT Championship match as well.
Yes, Shayna
Baszler and Kairi Sane again. So
I'm all for that. That's a great matchup right there. Their match, I was in Brooklyn, and their match there was amazing.
You're not feeling Kairi Sane and Shayna Baszler? Nope. I'm feeling more Shayna Baszler than I am Kairi Sane. I don't get the Kairi Sane thing. I mean, I dig the elbow and
the elbow looks awesome. I have no clue what that bitch is supposed to be.
Yeah, she's got the fucking
wheel or some shit. Yeah, and I guess she's
the pirate princess.
She's the pirate,
Silky.
But I don't know.
She came off the same boat. She came off the same boat that Paul London was on. Or not Paul London. Who was that other guy?
Paul Burchill.
Yeah.
Now that would make her interest better if she swung to the ring like he did.
Shout out to you, Alistair Fiend, joining us over here on the Periscopes, or excuse me, on the YouTubes there. Glad to have you with us, sir. It's because our Astros lost and they're from the East Coast. Yeah, well, all right. That's what he's talking about. That's why the caller hung up, probably, because the Astros lost and they're from the East Coast. One chick's knee exploded on the Mae Young tournament. Yes, we did see the...
I think it was Tegan Knox.
It was Tegan Knox, and they actually showed the video, which was not good. Anime Pirate, come on, duh, says England. Yeah, of course. Who doesn't see Anime Pirates all the time? So waiting for our notes from our screener here on the phone caller that we got waiting. But, well, let's go ahead and wait and see if we get the screen in there, because I don't want to jump in while he's talking to our screener. But let's go ahead and do it anyway. We're going to welcome our phone caller here to the program. What's up, caller? You're on live with Speez and the Benchmark. Who is this?
And Sean.
Hello, Speezy and Benchmark. It's Mac Diesel.
Mac Diesel, our good buddy. Diesel. Joining us here on the show. How are you, good sir?
Oh, doing great. I wanted to call in. It's October, and I'd kind of been pondering this question to see what you all had to say about this. What are you all's feelings about WWE's relationships with nonprofit organizations such as Susan G. Komen and their work with, Connor's Cure and things of this nature? Though on the surface it seems that it's a nice thing, and it is, to provide opportunities for the children, part of me kind of feels like it just seems icky, that I had also read that Stephanie had said things like philanthropy was the new form of marketing.
Right.
So basically I was calling in to see what your thoughts on this were.
Sean, let's go to you on this one first, buddy. What do you think about the charitable work that WWE does?
I mean, I think it's a natural business, decision to do that. Obviously, they do want to help people, so it's not solely in it for the money. I do think that, while I prefer the money for breast cancer, went to a different organization because I know Susan G. Komen has a lot of overhead. I believe it's like 80% overhead, and 20-something% goes to the actual, cancer itself. At least in the last few years' research, I would prefer it goes to like I think the breast cancer one, VCA, I think it is, of America. But that's a tangent right there. But I think overall it's a smart business plan to go that way, because while you're promoting yourself as a family product, and you're also you're just trying to, it just goes hand in hand with that. So I do see the good like Connor's Cure. That's pretty cool. I think that's a good job right there.
I thought they started that, right?
What's that?
Weren't they part of the start of Connor's Cure because of the kid?
Yeah,
in his relationship with Daniel Bryan. Yeah.
So
yeah, and here's the thing: when you're a publicly traded company like they are, Mac Diesel, there are certain things that WWE is going to be expected to do that other wrestling promotions quite simply aren't, because they're not held to the same standard. They're not held to a Wall Street standard. They don't have shareholders to answer to. It's somebody's, usually got someone to answer to, but at the same time, it's a whole different ball of wax when you're talking about people that are holding on to millions and millions of shares of your company. Yeah. There are certain hoops that you have to jump through. So
I'm not a big I guess I'm a fan of them doing that. I just wish they wouldn't advertise it so much, because we watched that, what show was that? What was the last show? Super Showdown? No,
the Super Showdown. Yeah,
I think it was before. Anyway, it was we watched this 5-6 minute promo package of all these kids where they each introduce their superpowers, things like that.
Right.
And then they come from that video to the kids on stage, and then they basically do the whole thing over but live for the audience.
Right.
And to a certain extent, I feel like it's dog and pony show almost.
Is that what you meant, Mac Diesel, when you're talking about it being kind of icky? Do you feel like it feels a little exploitative in some regard at certain points?
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. I couldn't find the correct verbiage there, but hearing Silky talk about it just a moment ago, I totally understand why they do it, and it is a wonderful thing. Especially, it's heartwarming to see the kids, have those opportunities. But at the same time, it just feels like it's so overpushed.
Yes,
and I hate to use that word because it's used constantly, but I think it's wonderful, but I think they could kind of pull back a little bit. I'll give you one example. During one of the shows, two of the ladies just got finished beating the crud out of each other, and then they come back from commercial and they're all standing in the ring holding hands with one another. And, I get that it's a scripted television show, but it kind of takes you out of it. If you were watching, an episode of, I don't know, a cop television show, and the bad guy and the cop all of a sudden, during commercial break, we're standing there holding hands, it would kind of take you out of the show just a little bit,
right.
But
yeah, well, and it's
maybe that's a childish aspect of it. I don't know.
No, and I think that's one thing that a guy that we listen to a lot, we reference a lot on the show, Jim Cornette mentions it as well. You hear people say, well, it's like acting, it's like a TV show. Well, people in TV shows and people in movies don't stop and basically tell you, oh, hey, wasn't that great? Didn't you like that CGI that we just did for that big explosion there? That was awesome.
Right.
And that's essentially what some of these folks are doing with some of the things that they do, like people holding hands and hugging, and after they were supposedly just beating the shit out of each other a few minutes earlier.
It's just too much. I think do it and maybe it's just the way I was raised. I always was raised that when you're doing something like that, you do it from your heart, and so you don't do it for the recognition.
Right.
So if someone else, and I think from a business standpoint, it's so much more profitable if other people are trumpeting what you do versus you.
Exactly.
It seems self-serving when you do it, but if you just did all the stuff they're doing, and then these people were coming up like, WWE did this for me, they did this for my kid, man, I cannot thank them enough. That would go more to marketing dollars than you doing it.
Yeah, it very well could. And to be fair,
I've got a marketing degree.
To be fair, they do a lot of that stuff as well, and they do a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we don't see end up on television. But yeah, I'm with you, Mac Diesel. Again, it's hard to have a problem with it because they are helping out people who are definitely in need of help, and they're able to funnel a lot of money towards causes that could definitely use it and bring certain things to light that maybe people didn't know about before. So in that regard, again, it's hard to criticize, but I can definitely see what you're saying in terms of, kind of pushing it out there and saying, hey, look at us, as often as they do. It can be a little bit of a turnoff at times. You got anything else for us, Mac Diesel, before we move along, sir?
Nope. That's it. Thank you guys for taking my call.
You got it, buddy. Always appreciate the call. That's our good buddy Mac Diesel. Always appreciate him calling into the program. And you can get into, before we get out of here, folks, 832-937-4559 as we wind down with our
832-93 Silky.
As we wind down with.
Now, Mac raised a great point. I think that when you're pulling the the fourth wall back, and you're saying that the cop and the robber are buddy. I think what the WWE has a trouble with a lot of times is, okay, you've got good Triple H for NXT, you've got good cause Stephanie with breast cancer, and then you've got now they're villains. So the viewer's totally confused at times. Like, what reaction do you want us to give them? Because they might have a heartwarming segment, but people will start booing Stephanie before, and then she's like, okay, this is a Connor's Crush segment. I think it's just very, very confusing at some point.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we've talked about that here as we often do about Silky giving me shit about not liking Stephanie McMahon. But that's one of the things, in one segment, she's supposed to be the bitchy, evil McMahon. And then in the next segment, she's in there with breast cancer survivors, trumpeting their work with the Susan G. Komen Foundation and so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yet you still hate her. You heartless bastard.
That's right. I'm just a heartless bastard. That's what it is.
That makes two of us then.
There you go.
Both of yous.
Exactly. So before we get out of here, Sean, let's wrap things up on this Saudi Arabia show. I'm interested to hear your take because it seems like everybody has a take on this one. I just want to share because we talked about this at length on last week's show. I mentioned to my boss earlier today. He had asked about. He had seen something about how WWE was getting called out by senators and shit like that. And I told him, I said, well, they make more money. They're going to make more money off of this Saudi Arabia show than they make off of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to make tens of millions of dollars.
Or as I like to say, Scrooge McDuck levels of money.
Exactly. And I said, but, I wouldn't be surprised if they canceled it. And my boss, who I work in the oil and gas industry, so these are folks that make a fair amount of money. He said, you think they're going to turn down that much money over one guy? And I said, well, public pressure being what it is, I think they just might. He goes, sound like some of these folks need to take some business classes. Yeah. So anyway, I'm curious because that seems to be the two schools of thought here. On the one end, people say, look, WWE is a business. At the end of the day, businesses are about making money, and that's what it's about. They got shareholders to answer to, like we mentioned before, and this is an obscene amount of money that they're potentially going to get. But at the same time, the international pressure, both at home and abroad, for them to potentially cancel the show, it's got to be a tough spot for them to be in.
It's just weird to watch now because, obviously they still plan on doing Crown Jewel because they're trumpeting it on every fucking Raw and stuff. But now they're just taking away the mention of where it is. So it's just like, well, where is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly. Where do you come out on
universe? That's where it is.
Yeah, exactly. Where do you? And phone caller, we're going to get to you here in just a moment. Sean, where do you come out on the Saudi Arabia show, Crown Jewel? What do you think WWE is going to do on this one?
I can obviously see the conflict here. The easy thing to say is don't do the show because of the backlash and because of the principles of it, of saying you're just going to accept this money and not care about something that happened that was seriously wrong. At the same time, at this point, it's not just a one-show deal where they're making $30 to $40 million. This is the beginning of a 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia, and I don't know, how much money that equates to, but I would assume hundreds of millions of dollars over the next decade. And they're not going to, if they cancel this show, then Saudi Arabia is going to be like, well, you know what, screw it, the whole thing's done.
Right,
so
and
I feel that it's not just one show on the line. I think it's just so much on the line that there's just no way they're going to cancel it.
Well, and that's what England JT says here in the chat room. Canceling the show doesn't even hurt Saudi Arabia. They get a refund. They already paid. So, yeah, and he also mentions, is WWE the only company doing business in Saudi Arabia? Where's the pressure on all these other companies as well? I think just because, again, WWE being more high profile about it, and this allegedly being one of the things that Saudi Arabia is doing to sort of move forward, from a socially speaking and the way their culture works, it's going to draw a lot more attention that way. Let's get over to our phone caller before we call it a night here. Want to make sure that we work everybody in. What's going on, caller? You're on the Speez and the Benchmark Show with Sean O'Brien.
Hello.
What's going on? This is Chris Surratt, I would assume. How are you, good sir?
Good.
What's on your mind, buddy?
But yeah, just wanted to tell you guys about the football game that I'm watching, the Broncos and the Cardinals. It's 35-3.
Holy shit.
And so yeah, the Broncos are winning 35-3.
So there's no reason for anybody to be watching that bullshit. They should be tuning into the Speez and the Benchmark Show.
Boom.
Exactly.
But that got me thinking, I need to check mine.
Exactly.
Fantasy.
But yeah, guys, I'm looking forward to Crown Jewel 2.
Yeah, we shall see,
in
man.
a couple weeks.
Yeah, definitely. It's it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, Chris. Thank you for the phone call, buddy. We always appreciate it, man. It's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. You can see both sides of the argument. You can see them saying this is a business and we're trying to make that money. At the same time, you can see where, maybe this is an opportunity for WWE to do something like we've been talking about. Something where they say, you know what? Yeah, this is a lot of money for us, but at the end of the day, a resident of the U.S. was essentially lured over to Turkey to go into the Saudi embassy and was murdered. And it's not something that we're okay with. So it's a tough spot. I wouldn't want to be in that spot.
And on a completely unrelated note, I got
Are you going to talk about your fucking fantasy team?
Yes, I got the Denver defense.
Nobody gives a shit about fantasy football teams other than the person who has the fantasy football team.
Fuck you.
That is true.
It's totally true. Don't tweet about your fantasy team. Nobody gives a
judging.
shit about your fantasy team.
Don't give a shit about you, you piece of shit.
Say that again, Sean.
Hey, and I'll start mentioning things, and all of a sudden I go, oh, you probably don't care. If I do, I care a lot.
Yeah, exactly. See you later, Chris Ratt. Glad to have you with us. Yeah, Young Raph, feel free to call in anytime, man. We're winding down here tonight, but yeah, you're always welcome to call in. We always appreciate that. Well, Sean, we appreciate the time very much, man. Always nice to get some new faces in here and introduce some people to some of the other programs that we listen to. Hopefully introduce your audience to us as well. So, in the interest of doing that, before we get out of here tonight, tell everybody about the Squared Circle Sound Off and when and where they can listen to it.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys once again for having me on here, giving this platform and to your audience. Silky, I haven't met you personally, but from what we've had discussions before and chats and stuff, so it's always been great to talk to you as well. And Chris, you guys are both doing a great job with the show. You guys have progressed it so quickly over the last few months. So really, you guys have a lot to be proud of. You can catch me on Thursday nights at soundcloud.com/Sean-Neutron. Where I try to bring guests in from all over the wrestling world, and sometimes I'll just look at thoughts on WWE and just various wrestling thoughts in general. So I took a 2-week hiatus recently, but now we're back to it. Follow us on Twitter at SCSOPod. Follow me on Twitter at Sean Neutron. Email the show at scsopod@gmail.com. And also follow our Lucha Underground liaison, Jay Baca, on Twitter at tweets of Jay Baca. This week I had the Coach Gator on from Nova Pro Wrestling discussing his upcoming, he's managing Brian Johnson against Isaiah Frazier. The gifted Isaiah Frazier, the Crab Wrestling champion. They're having a one-on-one match tomorrow night at Nova Pro's Sadie Hawkins Invitational. Lots of good stuff going on there. It's where the girls pick the guys for tag team matches, and they have a tournament, and as well as the single matches on top of that. Also want to give a shout out to my dude Brock Baker with this. I'm wearing his T-shirt tonight. You might know him from Reality of Wrestling. Really good dude. And now he's not with them anymore, but he still wrestles in Texas. So I just want to give him a shout out. And you can catch him on Twitter at CMHooligan, where the O's are zeros.
Excellent. Giving some Reality of Wrestling from here in H-Town some love. We appreciate that. Go. And like I said, guys, if you're not somebody who follows a lot of indie wrestling and want to start learning about it, Sean is a perfect guy to get you into it, because he's always got great guests coming on the show, always got good guys that he's talking to, and the ladies as well.
Yes.
Including Veda Scott.
Yes.
And Kylie Ray.
And Kylie Ray from here in town. So always a good listen. Well, Sean, again, thank you very much for being with us, man. We really appreciate the time. And we look forward to keeping up with the show as always. Silky, you got anything else to tell the people before we get out tonight?
This Saturday, I'll be in Corpus Christi for VPW's Halloween Hijinks 5 and the casket match for the VPW Heavyweight Championship against Pitbull Rue. Look it up on Facebook at Victory Pro Wrestling, or you can go to my Facebook at SilkyB63. Well, not at, but, Facebook/SilkyB63.
And check us out online at Speez Benchmark on Twitter. tinyurl.com/Speez Benchmark is the website for the YouTubes. Hope you'll consider subscribing. And, of course, we got the tip jar, tinyurl.com/SB tip jar. Shout out to everybody who joined us here tonight for the program. We always appreciate you being with us. So, for the Benchmark, Silky Baines.
Yo.
Chris Spizak will be back on Monday night following Monday Night Raw. Thanks to our buddy Sean O'Brien and to all of you for joining us. We'll see you next time right here on the Speez and the Benchmark Show. Good night, everybody.